Welcome to yet another amazing session of the NSSF Financial Literacy Program. It's a pleasure to have each one of you with us today as we discuss self-mastery as a way to financial freedom. Our session today is live on Zoom and all our NSSF social media platforms. My name is Patricia Charlotte Ojambo, and I'll be your host for today. If you have seen the flyers, you should have seen the word Trailblazers on the right-hand corner of the flyer, and you've asked, what's Trailblazers? So I'm here to give you a preamble about it and how it came up as today's cause. Trailblazers is an idea under the NSSF Internal High Innovator Program that was inspired by the impact of COVID-19. When COVID-19 came, we saw the negative impact where we saw loss of income. And that was the reason as to why we came up with the idea of Trailblazers. As Trailblazers, the idea relies on the power of habit, enabling our members, first, to manage psychological distress arising from financial difficulty, and then members are encouraged to continuously save, building long-term resilience, and investing money for the tough times. A survey was conducted to ascertain the assumptions that we had, and we got 90% positive responses to confirm its relevancy and importance in our members' lives. The solution that we are offering under Trailblazers is to create a network of partners, coaches, trainers, and mentors that will reskill our members, connect them to job links, an unemployed member can get another job, can be reskilled to get another job, or start a business. In this of knowledge in their fields. And he will also share an in-depth introduction of them. Sorry about that. In a few minutes, please fill in. So according to our poll, we have 53% of the members that are attending female. We have 53% female and 47% male. According to the age brackets, 26% of our listeners and viewers today are between the age of 21 and 30. 39% of them are between the age of 31 and 40. And then 40% of our listeners today are between the age of 40 and 50. Without you, Ronnie, please take over.
Wow, thank you so much. I think a rousing round of applause for Patricia. Awesome job that she's done. And it's awesome to see all of you. I can see 200 plus. And ladies and gentlemen, 53% of you ladies and 47% of you gentlemen are absolutely welcome. And tech team, Adrian, if you don't mind, you can minimize that poll so we're able to see ourselves very, very clearly. Again, my name is Ronnie Havasa. I like to say I'm a simple man with a simple profile. Radio personality, team building coach, and event host. But today, I guess I'll be moderator. And in a short while, we're going to be introducing to you the topic that we are going to be, handling. And my panel is absolutely equal to the task. And so I'm excited. I hope you are excited to learn a lot. And you will all have the opportunity to ask whatever question that you have, any comments, and the hashtag to use is NSSF Financial Literacy. All right. So feel free, keep the conversations coming, keep your thoughts flowing. And last but not least, it'll be good to know where you are taking this call live from. So just drop us in the chat box there and let us know which part of the country, which part of the world you are tuned in on this call, where we're talking about, uh, self mastery for financial freedom. And without further ado, I guess it's time for me to introduce my panelists who are absolutely amazing. And they say ladies first. So I'm going to start with the lady to my right. And her name is Aileen Walusimbi Oloya. And if I read her entire CV, I can read it until the cows come home. But I'm just going to give you a snapshot of what she's about, what she's done, just so you know why she's seated where she's seated today. Aileen is a certified executive coach, management consultant. She's a trainer, she's a facilitator, and she has a working experience of over 15 years, and she's served in various capacity across different private and governmental sector roles. The British Council in Uganda, Barclays Bank, ABSA, at the International Finance Corporation, IFC, that's with the World Bank. And she's also offered advisory support to SMEs across, the country, in Uganda, in Kenya, in Ghana, in Rwanda, to mention but a few. She holds an MBA with the University of South Wales in the UK, and she's a certified mental fitness coach. And that certification is going to be very key in today's discussion. All right. With Positive Intelligence, that's with the USA. She's a certified international trainer, facilitator with LPI, that's the Learner Performance Institute in the UK. And she also holds a bachelor's degree in social sciences from Macquarie University and other relevant trainings with the Harvard Business School. I could say so much. I'm just going to skip to her passion and her purpose for life. According to Elaine, she says her purpose is to use her passion to creatively to inspire and transform people and organizations by enabling them to build solid teams and resilient mindsets by developing belief in their self-worth and contributing to a world harmoniously and lovingly. Ladies and gentlemen, why don't you put your hands together for Aileen? How are you doing, Aileen?
I am super well. Thank you so much for the introduction.
Yeah, I hope I didn't read everything. I hope I didn't leave out any of the key things that you'd have wanted me to say. But are you fine? Are you well?
I am very well. I'm excited to be a part of this conversation.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to get rolling with it.
And get rolling with it we shall do in just a bit. But allow me introduce the gentleman to my left. He might be one that might not need that much introduction. He's been around, and for most of you, he's certainly not a new face, but I'll still follow protocol. Samuel Chisache Sejaka is a Ugandan accountant. He's an academic. He's a businessman, and he's the principal and a country team leader at Mart Abacus Business School. Between the years of 1993 and 2014, he lectured at Uganda's oldest tertiary institution, which, of course, Macquarie University, and later on Macquarie University Business School. Whilst there, of course, he rose to the position of deputy principal. And somewhere in December 2014, at the tender age of 50, this man decided to retire. Sebo, when I grow up, I want to be like you. He decided to retire at the age of 50. And of course, using all the wisdom he had amassed in that period, he decided then to establish Abacus Business School, which is Uganda's premier executive education institution. And right in the middle of COVID 2019, Abacus Business School merged together with a management accounting training company, MAT, to form MAT Abacus Business School. How are you doing, Sybil?
Awesome.
Awesome. Wow, I like that. And that's just it. Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Thank you, NSSF, for
Ah,
inviting me.
awesome. Awesome indeed. So today we're going to be looking at self-mastery as a way, to financial freedom. And I thought I'll just read for you a few statistics just to kickstart this discussion and give us some foundation for where we're going with this, why we chose this topic, and we'll be hearing, of course, from subject matter experts today on. So here's a few statistics for me to throw at you, just so you know. I did my research, and you can say, yeah, I think Ronnie did a good job on that call. Listen, 60% of working Ugandans will retire having failed to accumulate sufficient savings, to sustain them during their post-work, life. And a vast majority of Ugandans also are unable to cover sudden emergency. Any emergency up to the tune of 2 million shillings, the average Ugandan is not able to handle such an emergency. And of course, with the onslaught of C19, COVID-19, which every day is morphing, we're now hearing of Omni something, and we don't know. May God truly be with us, And with the onslaught of COVID-19, of course, many Ugandans have been pushed to the edge of depression, so to speak, which is partly why we're here. But having said that, in spite of having a reputation of being one of the happiest people in the world, in fact, not too long ago, a statistic was put out and they said Ugandans are the happiest East Africans. And that might look good, especially on the surface, but a similar statistic, which we need to juxtapose with this, says Uganda is amongst the top 6 African countries with the highest number of people suffering from depressive disorders, which is very, very scary. And that's partly why we're here. And maybe just one more before I jump to our panelists here. Yet another study has shown that people with depression and anxiety disorders are 3 times more likely to be in unmanageable debt. And so there is certainly a correlation between our psychological, distress or well-being state and our financial wellness. So I guess it's time for us to jump straight into it. And I'm going to start with you, Aileen. I'm going to ask you to sort of give us a foundation for this discussion, self-mastery and financial freedom. How do you juxtapose the two against each other? And why do you think NSSF has us up here talking about this?
Thank you so much, Ronnie. I think that just getting back to the information you just shared,
Yeah.
the research you just shared, this conversation is timely. And as we engage in it, we're going to do a couple of things. I'll just share with you the context in which the conversation is going to take place. And it's very simple. We're going to explore financial self-mastery.
All right.
We shall then, take a look at what kind of people or what kind of behaviors do people who are financially free exhibit. And then what kind of behaviors do people who are not financially free exhibit?
All right.
And why?
Yeah.
Okay. And then after that, we shall dig into, again, another new research that simply states that the new psychology to financial freedom today has got everything to do with the mindset. All right. So looking back to why we think NSSF is having or tabling this discussion, and Professor Sejaka will agree with me, over the years, I know that there's been a lot of information shared around financial literacy. And I know it is one of the reasons, this is the whole program that we are, working with. People have got information about how they should budget. Governments are supporting individuals like you and me to learn about ways in which we can live or create sustainable financial lives.
Yeah.
And, NSSF, again, has created a whole program on financial literacy. I know members listening in have been a part of this program, and you are learning a lot. What we're saying here today is that all of this information is good, and it has, it's supported members to improve on the kind of financial lives that we are creating. But the
However,
question is, but the question is, what else can we do to support our lives or to create for ourselves sustainable financial situations?
yeah. So there's a missing link. From what you're saying, all this information is there.
I know that there is a missing link, and this is what this conversation is going to answer.
All right.
One of the things we want to talk about is the role of our psychological well-being,
Yeah.
as we push towards financial freedom. And it's a topic that is very close to my heart, as you can imagine. I have experienced it in very many ways. And as we talk about it, I just want to say that it's good to be financially free. Everyone aspires to become financially free.
Yeah.
But in the process of doing that, I mean, it doesn't just happen out of the blue. We've got to purpose to live financially free lives, okay?
Yeah.
And part of the process of purposing, it calls for mastering finance, okay, from an individual perspective. So one of the things we are going to look at is financial self-mastery. And what is all of this about? Mastering your financial life is one of the things that can help you create an emotional fortitude. It's one of the things that will help you to start thinking about the kinds of financial decisions that you make on a daily, and get you to a point of asking, in what new ways can I start making financial decisions? Okay, so financial self-mastery helps you to stay focused on your financial goals, and it also helps you to get starting to think about what kind of massive action can you take
to become financially
free. Okay, so financial freedom, I know in this context, I mean, everyone understands it in their own way.
Yeah.
Financial freedom means different things to different people. Why? Because we are unique individuals. Habasa, you'll agree with me that if I asked you right now, what kind of figure would set you financially free by the year 2023?
My problems are not few.
Are you sure? Can you quantify them in terms of...
so you'd like me to give you a figure?
Yeah.
In December 2020, how much would I...
Yes, how much money do you think can set you free?
Ballpoint figure is just, a little shy of $1 billion shillings.
$1 billion shillings?
Yes.
Professor, what do you think?
Professor has laughed and said, these young boys.
I guess I'm already free.
I like that. Professor is already free. You may find that
so meaning he's probably made that $1 billion shillings plus.
You may find that he actually has much less than that.
Okay.
And he's happy. What he has is enough to meet him where he is in terms of his needs and desires. Okay, so we are different.
Well, we'll find out in just a bit, but yeah.
We are different. If I shared with you my ballpoint, you'll be equally surprised. So financial freedom means that, you get to that point in your life where you are happy to make financial decisions without stress, without stressing too much. Okay, so, and I'll share with you that the next time a pandemic or a recession happens, you won't have to go and miss your monthly paycheck or hang around panicking that the pandemic is here, run to NSSF to withdraw your emergency funds or your savings
20%.
to buy food for your family. because from this discussion and the program that the Trailblazers are putting up, we are going to work towards becoming financially free, because it is possible. So looking at financial freedom, we have people who are financially free, people that we know.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Professor Sejak has said he's probably met that.
He's free.
already
He's
there.
happy.
He's free. He's a happy man. Okay.
Yeah, Malayo.
And then there are things that he does, I'm sure most of us know about, things that people who are financially free work with, or things that inform the way they lead their lives. And then we have, on the other hand, people who are not financially free. These people also have characteristics. I'd like to kick off with people who are not financially free. So if you're on this call, and you feel that you're not financially free, or you're not sure whether you are free or not, let me just share these simple characteristics, and then you'll tell us where you fall.
All right, okay. I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, just to hold your horses right there.
Yes.
So that I was trying to tune and make sure we are live together. I want to throw something to Professor here, but from what I'm saying, you're saying there's a link really between the CPU upstairs, your mental faculty, and your wallet, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah. And what I want to ask the financially free professor, just so that we can tap your wisdom. I've been seeing you scribbling all these thought-provoking points, and
From Aileen, yeah.
and I'm dying to hear the wisdom that you've written down. But most of us, like she put it at the start, we have all the financial literacy. NSSF has done a good job. We've done workshops, trainings. We know you need to do a budget. You need to save 20%. Some of my Christian brothers know you need to tithe. You need to do all these principles in order to be financially free. But for many people, year in, year out, they've set goals for financial freedom, and it's always the same result, a miserable result. And my question really is, what's the missing link? What went wrong? What went wrong? What are we missing?
Thank you. That's Teacher Mpambire.
Yes, Teacher Mpambire. I'm glad you know him.
Thank you. Thank you, first of all, for having me here.
Yeah.
And I want to thank NSSF for this program. I was looking at the statistics and how I wish I was part of the 60% who are on this program, who are between the ages of 21 and 40.
Wow.
Because I would do a lot of things
differently.
So I really speak to them so that they don't make some of the mistakes that we have made on this journey. And I kind of empathize with what Aileen has been saying. So first of all, I will tell a very little story which I read from about financial freedom. So there was this gentleman, he was called Joseph Heller. He wrote a novel called Catch-22, and everybody knows it. So anyway, one day Joseph Heller was invited by a billionaire friend to visit him on an island. So they went to this island, and as he was conversing with another guest, the guest said to him, "Look at this guy, isn't he fantabulously rich?" And Joseph Heller said, "I am better off than him." So the guy turned to Joseph Heller and said, "Why?" So Joseph Heller said, "I have enough." So having financial freedom is understanding what is enough. So that's the first point I want to share with you, people who are listening to us. The second one, again, based on what Aileen has said, is it's really not, financial freedom is really not about money for its own sake. But financial freedom is for you to determine at what point do you determine how you use your time. And that's, for me, what defines financial freedom. There are very many rich people out there, but they wake up with in the middle of the night like askaris to go and work. That doesn't mean they are free. They are slaves to
They're
their
slaves
jobs.
to their...
And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with work, but financial freedom, or being financially free, is arriving at that point when you determine how you're going to use your day. So it doesn't mean you don't work, but it determines what you do And I think they say the best job is when you're doing the thing that you
That you're
enjoy
passionate about.
that
Yeah.
you're passionate about. And the way I see you, I think you're financially free because you're enjoying this.
I'm enjoying,
So,
but I still
so
have to pay my
I think that's
bills.
very, very, very important. Now, the third thing I want to bring out to our listeners is, first of all, to go back to the topic so that I put some context on what we are
Yeah.
talking about. One, you talked about self mastery. I want to say to our listeners and our savers, what does self mastery mean? I need to explain this, and I think self mastery is about two aspects of our lives. It's about managing oneself
Yeah.
and about managing the society or others with whom you live. So it's a bit of EQ, or emotional intelligence,
Yeah.
and social quotient, social intelligence. So part of self mastery is knowing yourself and managing yourself in a way that you are successful. Now, I have already talked about financial freedom. So if you're talking about self mastery, you have to have a long term view of working from between the ages of 21, when we really expect somebody to go into
Employment and service.
employment, and up to about 50, 55, when you will be able to access your savings. So between that period, what is the level of self mastery you are able to
To
create,
develop and
to
create.
develop and create
Yeah.
about yourself? So if you can do that, if you can understand how to manage yourself, and I will talk about maybe a few things that you need to do in terms of knowing yourself and managing yourself, then you can say that at 55, I am able to say, I have had enough. Let me go, let others continue running the race.
I've done all I know
I
to
have
do.
done all that I can do.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. I mean, uh, we, the older ones, must realize that we've come to the end of the race and we must hand over the baton to the younger ones. So if you arrive at that age and you're still like the
Holding
civil
on.
servants who are trying to change their ages, then there's a big problem. Then there's a big problem.
Yeah.
So I am saying all of this with a bit of hindsight, that it didn't just fall into my lap and I understood it. I've made quite a number of mistakes.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying I'm happy to be here to share with the young ones so that they don't make as many mistakes as I made. They prepare better. And at the end of the day, they're able to sit by the beach and soak in the sun
And have enough and just
and
be
have, and
satisfied.
have enough and
Content.
just be satisfied.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Professor. And indeed, in a short while, we'll get back to Professor to share part of his life story and some of the challenges with self-mastery and that, have brought him up to where he is. But just before we did that, again, welcome if you have just tuned in. We're talking about self-mastery for financial freedom. And just before that, Aileen was just about to, break down, and so that you can have a little checklist to know, are you financially free or not? And I think you're just going to take us through a little list just to check and see where we lie. Over to you.
Thank you, Professor, for that submission. Yeah, so are we ready? So are we financially free or are we not? These are some of the characteristics. People who are not financially free, they lack self-discipline. People who are not financially free lack self-control in terms of their thoughts, in terms of their emotions, in terms of their behaviors. They're not able to control self.
Okay.
People who are not financially free do not have willpower. Okay? They struggle to make decisions. They lack confidence to take bold steps into the kind of lives that they want to create for themselves.
Yeah.
People who are not financially free have got inability to delay gratification. I'll give you an example. You are on a job, you earn a certain amount X, and before the month ends, before you receive that paycheck, you've already used up all the money. You're spending left, right, and center. Okay? So you are not, if it's that shoe, you want to buy it because you've seen it on Facebook being advertised, or on Instagram. If it is going to a dance club, or if it is buying a new car, you're out there, you're spending. It's okay to spend, but we need to manage that. Okay? People who are not financially free spend everything they earn. They don't save, they don't care, they don't have this thing of save for a rainy day. They don't, it doesn't really apply. And they've got no clear life goals. Okay? So they keep, they are immersed in the routine way of doing things. Yeah, they are not so focused. Okay, so investing, saving, or budgeting, doing budgeting for, for their homes, for example, or at work, comes as a secondary factor. On the other hand, people who are financially free have got life aspirations.
Okay. I'm going to see if Professor is checking based on your list. Because, Professor, you said you're financially free. So everything she mentions, I need you to say yay or nay.
They have life aspirations.
Yes.
They do. They are more self-aware.
Correct.
They are, yes, they are more self-aware. They have a wide income base. They don't depend on single salaries. Okay? They're always out there looking for ways to multiply or to 10x their income bases.
Yeah.
People who are financially free are usually not employed. I read that somewhere. They're usually not employed. They employ other people. They own businesses. They do things that give them financial freedom. They've mastered their cash flows. They have budgets. They know how to spend, when not to spend. They're committed to saving. And they don't only save for the sake. Even outside NSSF, you'll find that they save elsewhere in
investment
circles,
clubs
in investment clubs. Yes, because they have a purpose. They have a why. People who are financially free live below their means and they're self-motivated. Okay? So why am I sharing with you these characteristics? First of all, to help you do a self-check. But beyond that, for me to say that, look, these two individuals that I've just described have got one commonality. They are human beings.
That's the common denominator.
That's the common denominator.
The one who is financially free and the one who isn't.
They are both
human beings.
That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, the only thing that sets them apart is their mindset. That's the only thing that sets them apart. Okay? And so when we fail to master our own financial psychology, we sabotage our financial journeys simply because, we're not aware, we're not paying attention.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you have to say about that.
Yeah, so I was a bit surprised with your list because when you're reading people who are financially free and those who are not, I thought you're going to talk about, business acumen. They're setting up business, but most of the things on your list have to do with their mental faculty. You're saying they are tenacious. They have self-discipline. They're not spending more than they ought to. So, and indeed, you've summarized it to say the only difference between the two is a mindset issue.
It's the mindset. Those people are like you and me. Okay, you have gone to school. You have learned about budgeting. You have learned about the value of being financially literate, and yet you are not.
Wow, I'm going to throw that to Professor to get ready to share, first of all, his story, because from what Aileen is saying, it's really a mindset issue and not a salary raise. It's not so much a new job or a better job, or it's really an issue of the mind. What do you have to say about that? And in your answer, can you take us down memory lane into your own story? And I'm sure we'll be able to glean a lot of wisdom from that.
Thank you very much. If I were to take you down my own story, that would be a very, very long time. But I agree with most of what Aileen has said. But I need to be careful, and that's why I was very excited about coming here. because we need to. There's something we have been saying to the young people out there, which is a bit dangerous. Not all of us can be business people. Some of
Yeah.
us have to be employed.
And one of her indicators
Exactly.
was to be
The usual for people who are financially free are usually not
employed.
employed, and I think that I was employed for a very long time, so it's okay to be employed. So when you're employed, the things that Elena is saying are still very important.
Yeah.
So whether you're working for yourself or you're working for a company, you need to have a general sense of discipline. You need to have the right mindset. That's what separates the people who are successful and those who are not successful. Maybe what I should add to what she has said, which is uh, which is not which is not very clear to us, especially the Africans, the Ugandans, is we don't understand that this is a marathon. So that's why I said I want to speak to the people who are 21 today, and I want to ask them, how will you look when you are 60? Today, 60 is the new 40.
Yeah.
I'm 57, and I'm not a day over 40. So when you are getting to 60, how will you have so much less life, or will you be ready to start a new life? So those are the things that you're talking about. Um, so I do agree a lot with her that it is the mindset that needs to be understood and worked upon in order to get this financial freedom going. And I want to think of this in terms of an ethic. One, we must have a very enlightened view of work. If you have a job, do your best. Okay. Two, and Elena said this again, the concept of delaying self
Gratitude.
gratification.
Yeah.
And I think those two are very important, which leads me to a point I had not made. When you delay self gratification, you learn to save because there's an opportunity cost. You are saying, I have this shilling now, I will not consume it. That means if you don't consume it, you save it. So there was one point I didn't bring out, Ronnie, and it was another very important saying which we use in our financial literacy classes, and it's about compound interest, and which rings with saving with NSSF. I think this quote is attributed to Einstein. I don't know if it is really by Einstein. We need to do a fact check on that, but it is still relevant.
Yeah.
And it goes like this: compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world.
That's Einstein. Yeah.
Those who understand it benefit from it. Those who don't, pay it. So when you save, when you delay self gratification, when you avoid the consumerism which society suffers from now, you are destined to have a lot of your money being saved, either through NSSF. You know what? I am a saver with NSSF. I reached the age at which I could withdraw
Withdraw.
my money from NSSF, and I withdrew it. And then I came back and I said, "Hey, could you keep some of my money, please?"
You realized.
And I realized that NSSF was one of the best places I could keep my money. So I am a voluntary saver with NSSF. What does that tell you? It tells you a lot about compound interest. Now, speaking about work, my own experience with work is one. When I was at work, I always tried to better myself. Okay, so 20, 30 years ago, there were a lot more opportunities to go to school.
Yeah.
And these opportunities were in the corridor. So for some of us who picked these opportunities, we ended up doing our masters, we ended up doing our SCCA, we ended up doing our PhD, all at the expense of the government. And I see people fighting these days to pay for themselves to do these things. So once you are at work, do your best, but also seek out opportunities. That's
Every
one of the
opportunity.
things
Yeah.
I learned from being employed. Two, I always felt that I needed to do it to have a long-term view of where all of this would end. So in doing my best, I was always trying to make sure that I was also learning a skill for myself. So that's how I ended up becoming an accountant, so that I could work for myself. But that is the good story. What is the bad story? The bad story is, for a long time before NSSF really became what it has become today, uh, NSSF was a pariah organization, and saving, its performance, the scandals, and so forth, discouraged people from saving. So today, it is one of the best places where you can save. So in those early days, I also did not save enough. So the thing that redeemed me was that I learned skills that I could transfer outside being employed and use them to employ myself. So I was saved by the fact that I learned how to be an accountant, I learned how to be an entrepreneur. So I also do a lot of businesses and have quite a number of income streams, as Aileen has been saying. But above all, I learned to accept who I am, to live with what I am, and to accept the mistakes I have made along the way, and to learn from the mistakes. And one of the biggest mistakes I did make was not to save enough when I was young. Between the ages of 20 and 40, I should have saved more than I did. When I got into my 40s,
You woke up.
I had all these children growing up, going to schools. I had more months than
Than money.
salary.
Mm.
Okay, I had more months left at the end of the money.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a struggle for about 10 years trying to rebalance my budget. But that is because between 20 and 40, I did not realize that the children I'd had would become adults, and they would have demands that would require me to
Financial.
finance them at university, to finance them through college. And if you want the best for your children, you must think of them now. So if you're 20 and you don't know that you're going to have children, you have a problem. So let the children not arrive by accident. So I did not plan very well for these kids. So it was always a struggle. I wanted the best for them, but
But yet you still needed to grow
I still needed to
the
grow.
finances.
Exactly. So for those who are between 21 and 40, you must understand that the older you grow, the more money you're going to need in order to be financially free. Now, the best way to do that is to start saving now when you don't need a lot of money to be financially free. So that is the paradox. Now is when you don't need money. But the time is going to come when you need money, when you know the kids have to go to college. Which college are you going to do? Uh, for for the parents of today, the dilemma is schools are closed. So where are children going to school? Did you have some savings so that
Buy data.
you can buy data, or or you can take them to the international schools,
Yeah.
and so forth? So there's always going to be disruptors in life. So what have you kept for a rainy day? And I struggled with that. I didn't keep a lot for a rainy day. I thank God there were not very many rainy days. But when the rainy days did arrive, I was not ready. Now I'm smarter. I try to spend less than I earn. I try to understand that I can't have everything in life. And I also
You're
understand
content enough.
I need to understand what is enough. And I think having enough starts with being healthy. It starts with saying I can live with little, and it starts with saying I can share whatever little I have with others. So once you are in that mode of understanding what is enough, you end up being happier than those who have a lot.
Wow, awesome wisdom coming through here. And welcome to the show if you have just tuned in. And like the good book says, he who has an ear, let him hear. This wisdom that is coming through. And we're really looking, yes, at self-mastery and financial freedom. And I'm coming back to you, Aileen. So you've explained self-mastery is really about self-awareness, And my question for you is, what are some of the limiting beliefs that people have had on them themselves that manifesting as a lack of financial freedom? Because if you're saying it starts from the head, like in promo video I said, I quoted Joyce Meyer, where the mind goes, the man will follow. Are there some limiting beliefs that we've put on ourselves that sort of cap our ability to be financially free?
Ronnie, that's a very powerful question. And I just would like to relate it with what Professor has just shared.
Yeah.
He's just given us a powerful story, a life story. And he weaved it through the characteristics that I have just shared with you. You can see that because he's had this aspiration of even creating a family, he has taken certain action. Are we together?
Yeah.
Now, a person who does not have aspirations cannot think like the way Professor thought then.
Just live one day at a time.
Yeah, one day at a time.
Just go with the wind.
Let's be happy and let's marry. Okay? So you can see that forward looking is informed by the kind of mindset that he had on then and that he still has up till today, because he's even come back to save. After doing first cycle, he's in for cycle 2.
He withdrew the money and said, let me take it back. Yeah.
Let me take this money back.
Yeah.
Now, when coming back to your question, what are some of the limiting beliefs that kind of block us?
Yeah, or that we need to unlearn. And I'll also throw the same to you, Professor.
Yes, that we need to undo. From what is just shared, I'm just already thinking about having intrinsic value.
Okay.
As individuals, do we know that we are worthwhile human beings and that we are meant to do so much more than we know?
So the way we view
that
ourselves,
we are capable of doing so much for ourselves and for our communities.
Yeah.
For example, okay, some of us have lost that story. We see ourselves using very, very tiny lenses.
You have a very low self-esteem.
Yes, those lenses are keeping us in a corner of low self-esteem, of having no confidence. I'll share with you a very quick example. The organizations, of course, I won't mention names, that I have supported to grow leadership, to grow their leadership teams. Yeah. Their biggest struggle is we have opportunities for people to grow, but they're not applying.
People are not stepping up.
People are not stepping up to the plate.
Because they do not feel worth.
They have the skills, they have the experience, but they doubt. During their times alone, they doubt themselves. During their times alone, they feel small. They feel not enough. These are psychological things that we cannot directly put a finger to. So while the organization is busy creating space for people to come and, take up management roles,
you are there,
the people they are catering for are saying, hang on a minute,
I'm
that's
not enough.
Not for me. Yeah, I'm not worthy going for a managerial role. They don't feel it on the inside of them. That is a block.
So you never ever step up to the plate. You never raise your hand. You don't step up to the opportunity.
Yes, even when it comes to taking risks, their financial risks, they're risks we take on a daily. They would prefer to play it safe all the time. Now, we live
not that
in
they are
an
risk
evolving,
averse, but they just don't feel enough.
Yeah, we live in an evolving world. In order for us to play big, we need to make certain decisions. Sometimes we have clarity on those decisions, other times we don't. So I feel that is a limiting belief. And I think what even makes it worse is we're not aware that is stopping us from stepping into our greatness or from becoming financially free. Are we together?
Yeah.
So I feel that is a block. And I don't know what Professor has to say about that.
Yeah, so she puts it out there. What is the limiting belief that you have? You feel you are not enough, and that's one for you indeed to consider. Why haven't you applied for that job? Why haven't you stepped out? Why haven't you? People have brought opportunity. Say, bring your CV. You're like, I don't think. And she's saying that's one of the limiting beliefs. Professor, what other limiting beliefs do you think we have in our mindsets that have held us from jumping into financial freedom?
Well, I've tried to pick up. I've tried to pick up a few, but for me, I think the one that has liberated me the most is the idea of continuous self-improvement. But I must start by saying I do agree. Where the thoughts go, the body goes. Where
The mind follows.
goes,
The energy goes.
yes, that's where the energy goes. So, I mean, growing through adolescence and all those youthful years, there are lots of trials and tribulations. So I don't want us to sit here and paint this as a rosy journey.
Yeah.
The Japanese say, fall 7, rise 8. So this is a journey of blood and guts.
Falling
But-
down and rising
Yes,
up.
but I'll give you 3 things that will give you financial freedom. One, you must have continuous self-improvement. Despite all the bad habits you may have, despite all the vices you may suffer, and a lot of peer pressure is really going to exist in your life. So for me, I really think that you need to continuously improve yourself. Whatever you do, you must be on a journey to continuously improve yourself. So when the time comes to step up to the plate,
Yeah.
you dust off your papers and say,
I'm ready.
this is the man or this is the woman. So that is the first thing I want to say. 2, and I think this is something I didn't know then. So I don't want to claim 2020 vision, but the game of financial freedom is a long game. Okay?
Like you said, it's a marathon.
It's a marathon. And it's very important to understand it's a long game. You don't win by sprinting. Okay? You don't win by having the most shiny car today.
Kagwirawo.
No way.
Sente mu ngalo.
That is the wrong.
Quick instant coffee,
That's-
instant cash.
Exactly. That's the wrong mentality. It's a long game, and the winners are the people who have a long-term view of this game.
You have staying power.
It's staying power, but it's taken me so long to get there to understand that delay self-gratification. You're playing a long game. Yes, you can buy that new Mercedes Benz. Yes, you can have that new mansion, but you don't need them. So you need to differentiate your needs
And your
and
wants.
your wants. Okay? And that's for you to decide what are your wants and what are your needs. But don't keep up with the Joneses. It is a long game. The third thing, which I really want to share with our listeners here and viewers, is as you're investing, it's very important to have a balanced portfolio. It's very important to understand money a bit better. A lot of people have been told, and I've made these mistakes myself, by the way.
Yeah.
People have told me go into tree farming. People have told me go into fish farming.
Rabbits.
People have told me build the housing units.
Uh-huh.
People told me go into rabbits. People have even told me to look for red mercury, and I've gone through all these things. And I'm saying, oh gosh,
That's a new one.
how stupid could I have been? But the point here is I didn't understand all these things until I read a book called The Richest Man
In Babylon.
Babylon. It's a lovely book, and I'm recommending it to all of you.
Yeah.
And I think the most hilarious part of this book for me was the thing about asking for financial advice from a bricklayer.
From a bricklayer.
Threw me off. So these days, when people are asking,
You're buying
questions,
gold jewelry
I
from
ask, am I not the bricklayer? So I could be a bricklayer giving you the wrong advice.
red mercury.
Okay, so yeah, exactly. So who is advising you, and have they done what they are telling you to do?
Yeah.
So understand what the guy is saying in The Richest Man in Babylon. But lots of principles there, but I'll leave that there. Another book that I want to recommend is The Psychology of Money. Those 2 books, if you read them, I
Richest
think
Man in
everybody-
Babylon
The Psychology of
and
Money.
The Psychology of Money.
Everybody should read them once a year and understand that this is what should be done. But again, there's a lot of things you can read in order to understand. Sometimes they don't stick. So that's when you go to the issue of the seven habits of
Highly effective people.
That is who? Covey.
Covey.
And I'm saying there's one which is so important. Always sharpen the sword. So I think that if you do those kinds of things, if you behave in a certain way, money will follow you. Okay,
Wow.
money will eventually follow you, but it doesn't follow you overnight. It compounds.
It's a long game, like you
It
put
grows
it.
slowly, and before you know it, there's a lot of it. But it is a long span. So if you're 20 today and you want to become very rich, think of how you're going to be when you're 50. Think of how you're going to be when you're 55. So that's 35 years. Okay, so you have enough time to plan. So you don't have to make the mistakes we have made.
Well, again, like we said, if you have wisdom, I hope you are listening and just looking at, the chat room. Indeed, there's a lot of people gleaning wisdom from both of you. And talking about limiting beliefs, Fiona here says, culture is also another limiting belief. And she says many African families do not talk about money. The father doesn't tell you what he does. Maybe because it's illegal or something, I don't know. You're not training your kids. And I think it's the Jews who say if by the age of 12, you have not trained your child in a specific skill, you are raising a thief. So many points that are coming through. But I like the three that you've put out there, Professor. Number one, continuous improvement. Improve yourself. And I guess how you said that looks is that, are you reading a book? And you've given us, I think, 2 wonderful books there. Who are you getting your wisdom from? Are you trying to buy jewelry from a brick maker? Are you getting advice from a bricklayer, or a prosperity preacher who after that is asking you for transport in Paya Kakaga to go home? Where are you getting your financial wisdom from? And like Elaine put it also, your intrinsic value. How do you view yourself? I don't know if you have one more limiting belief or one more thing you'd like to add before we get ready to open it up to the house and take questions from our guests on the call.
Thank you, Ronnie. Maybe I'll just add that the things that we have believed about money are also critical to the kinds of decisions that we make around our finances.
Yeah.
Professor has talked about, he has said something around having those long range goals.
It's a marathon, yeah. It's a long game.
Yes. But and I don't know where he grew up from. He had the opportunity to rub shoulders with people who had actually lived with visions, with aspirations, and worked them and achieved from them. Okay. We live, we come from different communities, yeah, and these communities have rubbed onto us things that are, or beliefs that are impeding the way we think about financial freedom. Yeah. So if you have grown up within a space where people do not maybe value work, or people live in poverty, chances are that your beliefs around money will kind of be, you'll have a certain perception or a picture about being financially free. But again, like I said, that should not be a cap, or that should not stop you from looking for ways of becoming financially free. Grow your capabilities, for example, like what Professor has just shared. Get out of your way and seek information that can help you undo what you have believed. So our stories about money, the way we relate with money, is critical as we build, as we become financially free. You cannot sit there thinking that money, everyone who has money, for example, in town, there's this belief that very many people share, that everyone who is rich or who they perceive to be rich has stolen money. That is a limiting belief. Not everyone who is rich has actually got money the wrong way. People are working. There are people who are genuinely working.
Because if you think everyone is stealing, then you sit back and say,
you sit back and
I don't
say,
need to work.
Besides, you know,
Yeah.
that will stop you from engaging better. Okay. And then there's our financial values, for example.
Yeah.
I know that we work for institutions that have values, but on a personal note, what are your financial values? What are your financial values, and what truths do you hold around them?
Yeah.
Okay. If you get clarity around your financial values, you will pursue financial freedom using those values as a vehicle. But some of us have not paid attention to that. And I'll share with you a story.
So
at
there's
some
no
point.
compass guiding you.
There is
or-
no guidance
Yeah.
whatsoever. Yeah. So there are so many limiting beliefs. My call to everyone on this who has joined in this conversation is, let's get time off to reflect. What have we actually believed about money? Is it serving us, or is it not serving us? The things that we have carried, are we slaves to money? Or money can actually help us to create the kinds of lifestyles that
That
we
we
so
desire.
desire
Hmm.
to have? What have you believed about money? Please answer that question. Sit down in the mirror and ask yourself, Aileen, what have you believed about money? And ask yourself, is this true? Is it not true? Is it serving me? Is it not serving me? If you find that the belief you have is not serving you, undo it, pack it, throw it out, and replace it with a belief that will take you
To the
2
next
steps
level.
ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. And in a short while, we're going to now open this up to the house, all right? And get ready to take some of your questions. But, what we've been doing is exposing some of the challenges that we may have, limiting beliefs and so on and so forth. And I'm glad with this program here with NSSF, and special shouts out to the Trailblazers. What the Trailblazers are doing is we have had a problem statement, and they want to remedy that situation. So what they're going to do is, on this link, there is a little link which would like you to apply for, and there you can register for the Trailblazers program, and it's really about psychological wellness, in preparation for financial well-being. So the link is going to be shared on your screen. Register today and be a part of, those who are going to say enough is enough. I've heard from the professor, I've heard from Aileen, and I'd like to be able to change my circumstances. But I'm not going to open it up to the house. And so many of you have been asking questions. And thankfully, the team behind the scenes is helping me sort some of those and send them through. So I'm just going to read them and throw them at you both to just give some wisdom. We have about 45 minutes to bring this to a close. So we'll do the best that we can. Julie Setenda says, owning a business, and I'm giving this one to you, Professor, owning a business usually comes at a cost. In my desire to own a business, I have fallen into financial troubles. I don't know if she tried red mercury or or whatever, and you've done quite a few of those. I've fallen into financial troubles, spending to build and etc. Hence being trapped in debt. All right. I'm not a spendthrift. All right. She delays gratification, and she sounds like a disciplined person, or into personal luxuries, but she finds herself heavily indebted because maybe these businesses have failed to take off. So what advice do you give me to get out of debt, Professor?
Thank you very much. I think that was what was the name?
Judith. Yes.
Yes, Judith. That's a very good question. First of all, what I did say to your question was that we need, you see, a lot of these motivational talks about how I did it. Now, the people listening begin to think that you must also do it
The same way.
the same way I did it, which is really the wrong message we're giving to the young people. So maybe business is not for you. So I don't want to say that it is for you or it is not for you. Or maybe you went into the wrong business which you are not suited for. But if you want to get out of debt, one, stop digging. Okay, you're digging a hole, so please stop digging. And again,
Number one.
number one. Two, that means stop that business. It's a bad business. Stop digging means don't continue doing that business. Count your losses and know when to walk away. Two, again, I got this from the richest man in Babylon. Pay your debts. And I'm saying to you, go and talk to the people whom you owe money, restructure those debts,
Work out a
admit
plan.
your failures,
Yeah.
work out a plan, go find yourself a job. But that is not to say you cannot be a business person. For me, what worked for me is I have done so many businesses and I've lost a lot of money. I then discovered there was a trend where I lost money and where I made money.
Okay.
And where did I lose money? I lost those businesses where I was a bricklayer trying to be an alchemist. Does that make sense?
You're a square peg in a circular hole.
I was a square peg in a circular hole. For instance, when people told me to go and rear rabbits, I went to rear rabbits.
Zero experience.
Zero experience. When people told me to grow trees, I ran to grow trees. I am not a forester. I shouldn't have been growing trees.
It's the red mercury I want to hear about.
The red mercury. when we were young and would just come out of school, we used to see people driving these very beautiful cars. And nobody will tell you how they made money. Actually, nobody tells you how they make money up to now.
They say I began my rice factory with a grain of rice.
With a grain of rice. That's what they tell you. And I've been listening to this, pardon my French, bullshit talks. The way to make money is through blood and guts. Shilling by shilling. The way to make money is by doing what you know. That thing in which you are an expert. If you are a bricklayer, become the best
Bricklayer.
Okay? If you are a hairdresser, become the best hairdresser. Okay? If you are a dancer, become the best
dancer.
And the results are out there. Okay? So do not try to do what you don't understand. Two, do not try to keep a job and also run a business where you don't have control. Because the moment you go away, the people with whom you leave your money
will become financially free.
Will become financially free. Thank you, Ronnie. So these are some of the things that I would say to Judith. It's not easy to make money. That's why I want to emphasize every day that when you compound good habits, when you do the same thing nicely for a very long time, you are going to become successful. Okay? So if you look at the greatest people in the world, there is one thing about them. They have worked to become the best in what they are. Whether it is in sports, whether it is in making microchips, whether it is in technology.
Yeah.
I mean, I have read the Bill Gates story. Bill Gates used to work for 18 hours a day for 20 years. That's what he did. He worked very hard. So when you find Bill Gates and you say he's rich, it is not an accident. It is exactly, if you read about him in Outliers, that's what you will find. You can read about the sportsmen today who are the biggest sports icons.
Yeah.
You can talk about Tiger Woods in golf. And there's a book called The Big Miss. You know, I read a lot.
Yeah.
When
Self-improvement.
I'm a professor, so I'm supposed to read a lot. So when you
don't
read,
expect
when you
any
read The
less.
Big Miss,
Yeah.
the coach says he would find Tiger
Tiger.
in a zone. And Tiger was practicing for 5 hours a day, hitting those small balls. So why would he not become a billionaire? Lewis Hamilton, he's racing from the age of 7. He has to become the best.
Why not?
Lionel Messi, he's in academy at the age of 12. He's still playing. He just won the Ballon d'Or.
Some people don't think
Okay.
he deserved
So,
it, but well.
There is a pattern to being successful. And that pattern is what Aileen is talking about. that can be successful ethically. Now, here there are people in Uganda who become successful overnight. I don't know how they manage to do it. So I don't want to talk about those people. I really want to talk about
The
people who have
legitimate.
become successful in Uganda here. And I want to bring it home. Maybe I would also dedicate this to the late Brahim Mwanga Chibirige. And I worked with him to write his life story. It's called My Story of Making a Fortune in Africa. Can you imagine this gentleman? He stopped going to school in P6. So when he went back from Butambala to Budu, his father told him, come and work in the hotel. And when he was working in the hotel, he said, let's go and trade in coffee. From there, he came to Kampala. So over 40 years, you see a man who is determined to improve himself. He could hardly read and write. He taught himself how to read and write. When I met him in 1987, he had a shop on Ginger Road, and he was wearing coveralls, and he was lifting with his workers. By the time he died, if you met him in the late 2000, in the 20s, as they say, you would have said, this man was born with this hotel here.
The silver spoon.
With a silver spoon. No way. This is a story of blood and guts. So these are some of the stories that people don't tell. So again, if you want me to recommend the local book, I want to recommend the story of BMK. It is an incredible book. May his soul rest in peace.
True.
This is a guy who worked so hard. And he was consistent in what he did. So in all these stories we're telling our people, there is a thread of consistency.
Yeah.
But can we bring it home, closer home to NSSF? Even saving with NSSF, you need to be consistent. And that's when you see your money growing and growing and growing. Thank you.
Wow, so much wisdom that Professor has, put out there. Stop digging if you're in debt. Number one, Number two, do not be a bricklayer getting advice from an alchemist. Make sure you're getting advice from the right place. Do not try to put energies in things which you're not skilled at. Find your gifting, which is what Aileen has been saying. Self-awareness is really about knowing yourself, knowing your gift. Yeah, I found my gifting. Mine is doing what I'm doing right now. Mowawa, talking. I'm talking, I talk and talk. Yeah, but every day I am trying my best to do what you've said, to add to this skill. I'm watching a YouTube video on how to interview a professor before I come, and I'm trying to, and hopefully someone is going to say, who was that guy at the NSSF, the Trailblazer? Can we get him? And my check will be a bit fatter than this one. So every day, what is your thing? Are you adding to that skill? I'm honestly not going to try and make bricks or do rabbits, and certainly not going to bother with red mercury. Yeah. But let's see other questions, and I'm going to throw a few of these to you, Aileen. Someone here asking an interesting question. I don't know if any of you are very religious people, but someone here, Susan Tamba, says, does religion put a limit on us? You're talking about limiting beliefs. Does it put a religion on us? And what does religion say about money? I don't know if you feel equal to the task of answering that question.
I would flip that question around and
Yeah.
say, what's the name of the...
She's called Susan Atamba.
So Susan Atamba, what have you believed about religion and money? That is the question I would send back.
Wow.
Because it is what you have believed. I don't know her religion.
Yeah.
Okay. But what has she believed about her religion? And is it true?
Yeah.
Is it not true? And what can she do what can she do about that belief?
Awesome. All right, let's see if we have some more questions. What I think, Atamba, your question is right there. But depending on which religion you subscribe to, there's a lot. And some of the principles that Professor has talked about, I find interesting, because as a religious guy, I find a lot of those in the Bible as well. Because you're talking about making shilling by shilling. The Bible says money made in haste is quickly lost. Kagwirao and all of that, you're certainly going to lose it. All right. Here you have Joanna. Joanna saying, I would like to side with Professor. And not all of us can do business. In fact, most financial teachers are telling us business is the only way to financial freedom. These days, I buy things from friends, but then also it seems everyone is doing business, so even supporting gets hard. And I'm thinking it's the same for the other friends. If we all do business, who will support us? So that's not really a question, but maybe a comment right there. Feel free if you have any question, and I can see Charles there with a question saying, how do we or how do you support us to shift from theories? Because sometimes it's a lot of theory, it's a lot of KB. How do we shift? How do we make this transition from theories to practicals? Okay. I need that question to be open for me right there so that I can read it in its entirety. But yes, how do we shift from theories to practicals? Because if it's reading or taking lessons on financial literacy, those we have taken, Professor Eileen, we have done those. But how do we can we have some practical examples of how do we make that shift to get to the financial freedom finish line, which is still a distant reality? So is there any response to practically take this wisdom and say, tomorrow morning when I wake up, I'm going to do A, B, C, D?
And yeah, so that's a very good question. It is, I'll answer it from a coaching perspective.
All right.
And my response will be that when you find yourself in a situation like that, you have done financial literacy classes, like he has said. He has done everything, I think, to become financially free, but they're not making the steps that they probably feel they should have made. Kindly put up your hand and seek for help.
All right.
Seek for help. I like that you are aware that you are not progressing. Now, coaches help you bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to go. Yeah. And I know that mentors also do the same, only that, we look up to them to, share their stories with us. And then we pick a couple of things, okay, that have worked and then apply to our situations. Put up your hand and seek for help. Okay. There are coaches out there that can support you to understand the kinds of patterns that you are facing, that you probably are not paying attention to.
Yeah.
Okay. Do not die with your problem in the corner of your house. No. Put up your hand and seek for help. When you engage with a coach helps you, asks you questions that will help you reveal your struggles, or bring clarity to the challenges that you're facing. On your own, sometimes it's difficult to do that. So I'll say, put up your hand and seek for help. Find yourself a coach, find yourself a mentor, or I don't know what Professor would advise. Yeah, but I like that you can see where you are.
Yeah.
You are clearly not moving. Life is a marathon. Before you know it, will be 1 year in, another year in, and you will not be moving.
So you can't do it alone. Raise up your hand, seek for help. That's practical, and you'll not get advice of one coach fits all. In fact, Aileen is a financial coach. A practical thing you can do is tomorrow morning reach out to us, get her number, let her study your situation together with you, and maybe tailor make something to remedy your situation. Professor, I have another question for you, unless you wanted to weigh in on that one.
I could weigh in very briefly because I want to help. I want
Mukalas.
to help Charles.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think he's a bit frustrated and is having a rough time. And I want to say him, please don't get frustrated. You need to reevaluate. But even as I am helping you, I now. By the way, I'm also a coach. And how did I become a coach? When we had the first lockdown, I said, what am I going to do? I'm going to sit in this house all this time. Let me go back to school. So I went to Coach Masters Academy and I did the coaching program. So I am a qualified coach, even though that's not where I really want to take my life. But what I understand from the way I did my coaching, and this is what I want to Mukalazi to take away from here is that nobody can answer the questions of life for you.
Wow.
So what we coaches do is to hear your story and try and look at the gaps in that story,
Yeah.
and then throw back those questions to you.
To you, Mukalazi,
You,
to decide.
Mukalazi. So you must answer the question of why you are failing to move from the theory
to
the
practical.
So if you can find a coach, you could sit with them, and then they would hear your conversation, your story, and look at the gaps in those stories and help you to move from the theory to the practice. But at the end of the day, the story has to be answered by you, Mr. Mukalazi. I know it's a bit frustrating, but you need to put up your hand and find a coach, as a leader said, so that they can help you find the answers for yourself.
Awesome. And you already have two of those coaches here on this call. I'm sure you can reach out one way or another. And some people were asking, how to get help. First of all, we have the Trailblazers, psychological wellness cohort or program to help you reach towards financial freedom. And in there, we're going to take a step-by-step journey together, towards looking at practical steps. So sign up, Mukalazi. If I don't see you on that list, we shall be disappointed. But Professor, this one is for you. I don't know if this one, it's not too late. I guess it's never too late. How can someone retiring gain financial freedom? How best can one manage retirement money? From what we heard about you, you brought it back to NSSF. But yeah, what do you have to say about someone who's maybe in the evening of their life?
I don't know. I don't know if I've managed to transfer my ethos or my thinking. I need to use simpler language. I don't know if I managed to transfer my thought process to the young people. If you take nothing away from me today,
take this thing.
It is a marathon. It is a long
journey.
It's a long journey. So you need to be successful. You need to have a long view of where you are going to end. Now, for most of us, and that included me when I was much younger, so maybe I've been a bit lucky, but when I was much younger, I made the mistakes most of the young people make. One, I did not save enough, and I own up to that. Outside of my savings in NSSF and a few properties maybe I'd acquired, I did not save as much as I ought
to have
done. Now I'm saving as much as I can.
You're playing catch up.
Yes. So the question of saying how much should I save when I'm retiring is really so immediate that it is meaningless.
It is still a marathon.
It is still a marathon. So you can't start working and get to 45 and then you say I'm going to retire in 5 years time, and then you do the things that
you should have done from 20.
So don't make the mistakes we made. Some of us have been lucky to get away with those mistakes. So start the journey now. Understand that you're going to retire after a 30, 40-year stint of working. So start on that journey. Okay? Now, most people retire and then they get their savings in a lump sum package. They have never done business. They have not prepared how they're going to spend that money. They have not obtained financial literacy. What then happens is the employer arranges a class to teach them financial literacy on their last day.
A workshop.
Actually, what they learn in that workshop, and I've been a facilitator in these workshops, is it is soft landing. Please understand you must leave. Here is your money. Please understand you must leave.
They're just cushioning
but
you.
That is all they are doing for you.
Yeah.
Okay. You need to learn financial literacy long before you retire. Okay. You don't arrive on the day of retirement and say, hey, what am I going to do? If that is what happens to you, you're really in trouble. And I always say, when you come to the real world where some of us live, you will find conmen. You will find most of us are conmen. Most of us are liars. Most of us are economical with the truth. And we are very happy to relieve you of your savings. Thank you very much for working. Can we have the money? Bino bifuna chiraru. And we will take your money. We are very happy to do that without any compaction of feelings. So please, when you ask me, I really don't think I can give you the right answer. Apart from going back and saying, start preparing early. And then when you are retiring, the thing is, don't use your retirement package to survive. Your retirement package, actually, this is part of, okay, now this is at a higher level.
Yeah.
Because it should be at a policy level. You see, one of the problems with retirement is we give a lump sum. And most people have never handled that kind of money.
They're not ready for it.
Most Africans, you said you give them 2 million shillings, they'll die at night. So we shouldn't be doing that. What we should say, can we give you a pension? So the pension here is a lump sum, and that's problematic. So somebody has 400 million shillings. They don't sleep at night. It is in the bank. They are building castles in the air. So if you are not used to having 400 million shillings in your account, you are even
40.
shaking
When signing.
So that is a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
How do we deal with it? One, try and keep your savings in an annuity, in something that will give you some money every month. Okay, so that you have some income every month, which is passive.
Yeah.
And we haven't talked about passive versus active income. By the way, when you retire, you can find something to do and you get active income. But your retirement should go into some passive fund. Either you buy bonds or you buy shares or something like that. So manage that money separately. Don't now take it to business, because when you come down there, we shall eat you up.
And we are waiting.
And we are waiting for you. So take your savings and try and make sure you get a pension out of those savings.
Yeah.
You create an annuity. An annuity is a constant cash flow over time. Okay, most people, when they get their money, they say, I'm going to farm rabbits, I'm going to farm goats,
I'm going to
grow
import
trees.
cars.
Oh boy. How we deal with you? Anyway, I don't know if that helps him.
Yeah.
But that person really needs to go and find somebody who's not a bricklayer to give them proper advice of how they are going to use their package. And then also find something to do. Okay? Not to take that package and sit at home with the wife, who is another bricklayer, and plan how to use that money.
How to finish these
Thank
resources. All right,
I don't know if
friends.
that helps.
Absolutely. And I think you need to catch Professor's vibe or ethos, like he called it. That the one thing is that it's a marathon. There is nothing like Kagwirao, Yoro Mudidi, I don't know what. It's a marathon. You need to be in it for the long haul. I'm going to see.
Can I just add one?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, and I don't know, people always forget that all of us human beings, including myself, we suffer from what are called the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
Now, one of the 7 deadly things is greed. Now, the con man understands greed. That because we are all greedy,
He knows how to play
he
you.
knows how to say, if you bring X, I will make it 3X. If you bring 3X, I will make it 9X.
10x.
If you bring 9X, I will make it 27X. That is the Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
So
Beware.
don't fall into that trap of things which are too good to be true. Anything that sounds too good to be true
Is too
going
good to be
ruin,
true.
is too good to be true and does not exist. So please, I hope I have been able to help you understand that the truth, the way, this in the Bible, I talk about
The way, the truth,
I
and the
am the
life.
way, the truth, and the whatever. Okay, he did not become that by simply talking about it. He paid with his blood. So when somebody says, actually, for me, I would ask, what is not in the Bible about money? Everything is there.
True.
But it is also a question of your personal beliefs. And here on religion, I'm very careful because people have very many differing beliefs. I am a bit skeptical about those things. But you make your own choices. I always want to think of the pastor in the same way I think of the witch doctor. That they are dealing with things of belief, they are dealing with things of spirit. But what brings it home for me is the witch doctor. That when I go to the witch doctor,
Professor.
he has a small hat
Uh-huh.
and he says, remove your shoes and bow down and enter. Then you are wondering why the witch doctor is in this small hat. Maybe the pastor who is in a big church is okay. But the witch doctor is in that small hat. Then you say, but if this guy is in this small hat, how can he make me rich?
How can he deliver me really?
So that is up to you to make those decisions.
Make that decision.
But there are people who believe in witch doctors. There are people who believe in pastors. It's your cookie to grind.
And speaking of the Bible, indeed, it does talk a whole lot more about money than it talks about prayer or any of these other things. As we bring this to a wrap, and in a short while, I'm going to be inviting Patricia to come back just to wrap it up. I want to throw one last one to you. As a lady and a family person, a young anonymous somebody here is struggling, says, as a young and an employed adult, how do I balance between personal expenses, personal savings, and then extended family needs? Says, I seem to be stagnating, because you've just made a little, then mama is sick, auntie needs what? This is family. What do you do? What is the best use? Well, then they slide in a different question, but maybe just talk about that family balance versus the young man or woman is trying to progress, but the needs of the African extended family are just weighing or stagnating them down.
Thank you so much. There's this saying, cut your cloth.
Cut your coat according to your cloth.
I think that is what he needs to. Is it a he or a she?
They're anonymous, so we
They're
can't say.
anonymous,
Yes.
yeah. So cut your coat according to your cloth.
Okay.
You are not government, and neither are you a welfare distributor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, these are facts that we need to work with.
Know your limits.
Know your limits.
Manya
Otherwise,
wokoma.
Otherwise you're going to stress out completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if the impression you have created is to please everyone by touching your pocket,
whether you're related by blood or not,
it's going to cost you something. Everything comes at a cost. The behavior will be good. You'll be known to be this person that gives, that is very generous.
Yeah.
But you will suffer. So go back and look at your finances and be realistic with yourself. It is okay.
It is okay. Wow. I'm going to give each of you 2 minutes, really, just to give your parting shots. But Professor, in your parting shots, could you expound? Because many people seem this question or comment seems to be recurring. The issue of enough. You mentioned at the start that you're probably financially free because you're content. You may not be the richest. Can you just expound on what enough means? Some of us just greedy.
Thank you. I think I already summed up in that story of Joseph Fela. Because for everyone, even for the three of us, as we are on this panel today, your enough is different from Ronnie's enough, is different from mine. But your enough is a function of your purpose in life. What do you live for? And I have discovered my purpose is to teach.
Wow. Simple.
I am a certified public accountant who found myself teaching. I have taught so many people. They have been so grateful. It has made my life different. And those people have always come back and given me a favor. And for me, that is my enough. Okay. The other part of my sense of purpose is the financial freedom I'm talking about. That for me, financial freedom is not having a lot of money. And I don't have a lot of money anyway. I simply have enough to live with. Okay, but that enough is defined in the context of the capacity to say, today I am staying in my house, I am not going in the rat race.
I'm going to eat
So,
my
yes,
matoke.
I'm going to
I'm
eat
not
my
going out
matoke
to.
or whatever, it's posh or whatever,
Hmm.
or my insenene.
That one you need to really be
Okay,
enough.
okay. The point is, everybody has their enough.
Yeah.
And for me, whether I am walking or I am cycling or I have a small car, my enough is a sense of happiness that I have with what I have achieved. So you define your enough. I can't define it for you.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't want to make this go round and become political and whatever. Some people don't find enough. 40 years later, they don't find enough. Okay. So you wonder, what is it? But we are travelers in this world and we will live. So you find your enough. And for me, my enough is defined in my sense of purpose and the fact that I can use my time
Yeah.
the way I want to use my time. That is what you should also do. So nobody said you need to be rich. Who brought you
Who
on
told
earth
you?
to become rich? Okay, so you define what rich means. And this is one of the messages our young people are not getting.
Yeah.
That if you have a life's purpose, how good are you in achieving that life's purpose? When I was in school, very far back in the 1970s, I went to a school called King's College, Budo, and there was a gentleman, E.M. Kemalira. He came to give a sermon, and that sermon stuck with me. He talked about a man called Booker T. Washington, who was a slave. And these young people, they have Google, they can read about him. So Booker T. Washington was sweeping in the church. And when Booker T. Washington swept, nobody could sweep
Better than
better
him.
than Booker T. Washington.
Wow.
So for all of you young people out there, define what your enough is. Okay? Define what being rich means. It's not owning things that glitter. It is not owning mansions, because all of us seem to be in that rat race. Actually, to have enough is to get out of the rat race. Now, most people don't understand the rat race. The best way I can define the rat race is, for example, you wake up every morning and all the cars are facing in the same direction, driving into town. Now, the few cars driving out of town are probably the guys not in the rat race. But otherwise, all the rats
Lined up facing one direction.
facing one
Professor,
direction.
you get the movie.
Okay, so in the evening, all the cars are lined up,
All the rats.
driving towards Nansen. That is the rat race. Now, for you to get out of the rat race
Yeah.
is to say, I am not in that queue. So it is not to say I have a nice car. You may have a nice car,
But it is also
it
headed
is
to.
also headed towards town.
It's a nice rat.
It is a nice rat, but it is still a rat.
Oh dear.
So I hope this message has come across. I usually deliver my message forcefully,
Yeah.
but it is what it is.
It is what it is. I like that, Professor Bongako. Wow, Professor's swag levels are certainly up there, and maybe it's because he has enough. And maybe just to qualify a little bit on what he said, first he said, choose your own enough. Your enough is a function of your purpose, which is really what Elaine has been saying. Do you know your purpose? Self-awareness. And enough, I guess, doesn't mean settling for less. Enough is like contentment, happy with where I am on the way to where I'm going. All right, so that's certainly awesome. Aileen, what are your parting shots?
Thank you so much, Ronnie. I just want to say this, that from my experience supporting individuals to walk their life journeys, supporting organizations to re-strategize and, achieve the objectives for which they were set up, I have come to realize that people who thrive take massive action. Organizations that thrive take massive actions. on their tasks or on their objectives, okay?
Okay.
Bringing it home to the individual. Where we are at now is we are not looking for more information. There is already enough information.
We have enough.
Take action. Take action on your dreams. Take action on your goals. Purpose, to learn about who you are and why you are here. And when you are in doubt, seek support. Yeah? Seek support. So don't walk this life journey alone. There's no way you'll get to the financial freedom door by yourself.
Yeah.
We all need each other.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why we all have.
We all
different-
need somebody to
Yes,
lean on.
we all need somebody to, to take us, to show us the way.
Yeah.
Let's engage those people. Okay, let's ask ourselves questions, but then let's also be real and true to ourselves. What are our gaps? What more do we need to, what do we need to polish on, or how do we need to sharpen the saw in order to get us to where we want to go? So maybe to add on, mental fitness or mental wellness is not something to play with. We need to pay attention to our health, our mental health, our physical health. There's no way we're going to cross the gate, or when we get there, we shall not enjoy. What is it will be for all of these years? So I just like you to say that everything, if you want to forget about the discussion we had today, action starts with you. Action starts with you. And so I want to challenge you to pick yourself up and do what a man should do.
Come on now. Or a woman for that.
Listening to us.
Thank you so much. In a national take action. You've had an action. And one of the actions you can take, sign up today. The link is going to be shared here right now. I'll ask the team to share the link for the Trailblazers, psychological wellness freedom program, which we're going to be running. And coaches like Professor and Eileen are going to be there helping you. Sign up today. Take action. From me to you, I think it's been awesome. If there's a lesson I've learned, man, there's so many, read those books. Professor has recommended quite a number of them. And like you said, success is really when preparation meets with that opportunity. What is your gift? What are you good at? Sharpen it, sharpen it, sharpen it. I think it's Steve Harvey who says your gift is the thing that comes the easiest to you with the least resistance. I can wake up any morning, grab the mic, and I'm good to go. I might not be able to wake up and coach or deal in red mercury or or whatever. So what is your gifting? Self-awareness. Discover that, start to work on it, attach a value to it, bill for it. Thank you so much. It's been awesome. We hand you back to the capable hands of Patricia, who began all of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being a part of this session. I'm sure I've listened to it. You know whether you're financially free or you're not free. So just a quick reminder, you have listened. Who is a person who is financially free? Who is not? If you're the kind of person that is spending your money before you earn it, if you're the kind of person that is spending all your money without saving anything, you're not financially free. If you're the kind of person that has one source of income, you're not financially free. What does financial freedom look like? It should be about knowing what is enough for you. What is enough for me is not enough for you, but be aware of yourself. Know what is enough for you, and then you can easily know that you're financially free. If you're able to allocate your time of the day and how to work with it, you're on your way to financial freedom. So financial freedom is a journey that takes planning. At the age of 20, you can start saving now because you do not have a lot of expenses on you. You can start now. And even though you're 30, 40, or even 50, it's not too late.
Yeah.
You can start now and change your tomorrow. It is up to you. We are calling on to you to take this journey and start it now. This is a call for action. If you have not yet registered, kindly tap the link that has been sent in the chat right now, and then you can register to be a part of this. You'll be able to meet a number of amazing mentors and coaches, and the speakers of today will be a part of them. If you want to be mentored by them, kindly sign up, and we can't wait to change your life and to see you change your life. Thank you so much.
Obrigado. Thank you so much, Patricia. Maybe just a quick one. A few people are asking if they can get the recording. This will be made available for you. The recording will be there. If you have already signed in, I'm sure it will be shared. It's actually on YouTube, so you can always get it and refer to it. Quite a number of people, Professor, who are saying they actually went through your hands, and they're very proud to have done so. And that should make you feel more enough as you leave this place. Enough is enough. Thank you so much, and thank you to the team behind the scenes, the Trailblazers. We absolutely appreciate you. Till we meet again.
Thank you.